Get behind the car. Get behind the car. Get behind the car.
Oh my God!
A dramatic shootout right next to the CU campus.
New video shows the moments before police officers arrive to find the people responsible. Plus, Denver Parks and Rec wants to make local parks safer.
I think that we ought to definitely fully fund those security measures.
However, there's not enough funds to make sure every park in the city gets help.
You actually have to do quite a bit of work to make sure that these systems, when we put in, are going to be effective and efficient.
And all it took was less than 10 minutes.
I was coming back out and the bike wasn't there anymore.
Thieves snatch up one Denver man's e-bike that he desperately needs to do his job. How we are helping out.
I rode that thing all day, every day, so like, it just makes things a lot more difficult.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Denver 7 News at 5. I'm Jacqueline Allen.
And I'm Brian Wang. First tonight, Denver 7 has obtained new video showing the moments before police arrived to a shooting near CU Boulder last night.
In this video, you hear one man arguing with at least one other person across a parking lot in Boulder's University Hill neighborhood. This is at 13th and College Avenue. Then you see here one man pulls out a rifle and you can hear him fire at least 2 shots. Police officers happened to be nearby when this was all going on. They fired their weapons toward one of the suspects. That suspect was shot in the arm and is expected to be okay. Now, police are still looking for others who may have fired their guns as well. Officers are asking anyone with videos or more information to contact them. And tonight we are going in depth on what happened. We're getting reactions from students since this shooting happened in a very popular neighborhood as the bars in that area were letting out. So we'll have all of that tonight on Denver 7 News at 10.
An Aurora police officer is out of the hospital and now recovering at home after being injured while chasing robbery suspects. It happened early Saturday night. One of the suspects ran away while threatening officers with a gun. 3 officers then shot and killed the man, who has not been identified yet by police. Another person was taken into custody but has since been released.
Today, I reached out to Denver police for an update on the officer that was shot in Broomfield earlier this week. They were not able to give me any new details, but at last check, that officer was still recovering in the hospital. We know he's worked for Denver police for 21 years, and the suspect in that shooting was killed by officers.
As concerns over rising crime rates continues growing, Denver city leaders are considering a request to upgrade security at parks and recreation centers.
And Denver 7's Brandon Richard explains why there's now a new sense of urgency to get more security cameras in more of the city's public parks.
His death shocked the Denver community.
It's just heartbreaking is the only word I can come up with, frankly, for what happened there with JoJo.
Back in August, 14-year-old JoJo Aragon was killed in a shooting behind the Southwest Recreation Center. Denver City Councilman Kevin Flynn says many assumed surveillance video at the rec center would help police find whoever killed the 14-year-old boy.
And one of the first things that residents in my neighborhood said was, why don't they get the video from the rec center? And I had to tell them that there are no video cameras at the rec center.
On Saturday, nearly 2 months after Aragon's murder, police announced an arrest. But neighbors remain concerned about security at the rec center.
So a lot of things that were touched on were, so maybe cameras, because we don't have cameras here, outside lights in the dark. So if, lights could come on, just security.
Denver Parks and Recreation Deputy Manager Scott Gilmore says crime at parks and rec centers is a growing concern. Parks and Rec now wants to spend an additional $1.6 million on security upgrades, including $900,000 on cameras at rec centers and other facilities currently without them.
Our goal is to make sure that people feel safe and comfortable in the parks.
Despite Aragon's murder, there's no guarantee Southwest will receive any new cameras. Parks and Recreation says priority will be given to parks and rec centers with the highest crime rates. The Denver Police Crime Map shows only 4 crimes were reported at Southwest this year, a much lower crime rate compared to other parks.
Well, Southwest Rec Center isn't known for violence around that rec center, and so that was a very unfortunate incident that happened right behind the rec center. So we have added it to the list as a possible place where we could look at cameras.
Gilmore says they're also looking at buying mobile cameras that could be moved to different areas as needed. Flynn says he's considering pushing his colleagues for more money for security upgrades in the hopes of preventing tragedies like the one that happened in his community. Brandon Richard, Denver 7.
All right, Brandon, thank you. Denver City Council will submit its budget changes on October 11th. A final vote is not expected until November.
And going deeper tonight, safety across Colorado was one of the main topics at a state gubernatorial debate earlier this week in Puebla. Governor Jared Polis says his track record on crime prevention is headed in the right direction, while his Republican challenger, Heidi Ganal, says more needs to be done.
I will replace the parole board. I will stop our sanctuary status and allow ICE to do their job and law enforcement. I will appoint tough judges. I will declare a state of emergency on fentanyl and clean up this state.
Look, if I'm reelected your governor, we have a track record of getting things done. And I will come before you 4 years from now and we'll talk about how we move Colorado from 21st in violent crime to one of the 10 lowest states for violent crime.
And we are close to 5 weeks out from the midterm elections. Some key dates to keep in mind. You will not be seeing a ballot in your mailbox for at least another 2 weeks. The earliest those ballots can be mailed will be on October 17th, and Election Day is coming up on November 8th.
All right, right now you're taking a live look at the path of post-tropical storm Ian. Along the way, heavy rain dumping on states like New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. Dozens of people were killed when Ian first hit Florida as a Category 4 hurricane, and some rescues are still underway. An estimated 800,000 people in Florida are still without power, along with tens of thousands of people in North Carolina and Virginia.
And Ian is one of the most powerful hurricanes to make landfall in the U.S. Already, it looks to be Florida's costliest storm ever. So to give you some context here, early estimates show Ian will cost Florida $47 billion in insured losses. CoreLogic, this is a group that estimates losses for natural disasters, says winds created up to $32 billion in damage and floods created an additional $15 billion in damage. FEMA says more than 9,000 Hurricane Ian victims have already registered for help.
As you can imagine, these folks really need all the help they could get. So Denver 7 has opened a fund to help families impacted by Hurricane Ian. Through the Scripps Howard Fund, we are accepting donations towards Hurricane Ian relief. You can text STORM to 50155 or scan the QR code on your screen. That will take you directly to the webpage to donate on denver7.com.
A lot of people need help.
Yeah.
All right, a man here in Denver is now unable to work after his e-bike was stolen in just a matter of minutes.
And unfortunately, it was taken while he was in the middle of doing his job. Denver 7's Christian Lopez shares his story and how you can help.
I was so excited. I've been looking at e-bikes for like years.
Andrew Bayer heard about the city of Denver's e-bike rebate program. He was lucky enough to snag one of those vouchers.
I think I got like $1,700 off, which was amazing because I wouldn't have been able to afford a bike like that. I rode it to go to work all the way up in Thornton. I used to ride it to do Uber Eats deliveries as well.
But it was all short-lived. The e-bike was stolen 2 months later while he was out working.
It was horrible. It just makes things a lot more difficult.
He said it all happened really fast. He stopped by this Walgreens one night to pick up some items for an Uber Eats delivery. He came back out a few minutes later and his bike was gone.
It was locked up right here. I was like, did I come in a different door or something? But it took a minute to realize like my bike was stolen.
Now it's impacting his livelihood.
I have another job too, but that just covers the bills, and then I did the Uber Eats for like, extra money and stuff. Unfortunately, their insurance doesn't cover any like lost or theft vehicles or items, so I was kind of left with nothing.
He also contacted the city of Denver.
I reached out to them asking if there was any way possible to get like a second e-voucher, and unfortunately they said that there's a limit to one per person. I'm pretty frustrated. I rode that thing all day, every day. It was like my main source of transportation. It just makes things a lot more difficult, and yeah, it's just a bummer.
If you'd like to help Andrew replace his e-bike, you can donate on our website, denver7.com. Just click on the Denver 7 Gives tab. Reporting in Denver, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
And we want to help Andrew replace his bike through Denver 7 Gives. If you'd like to help, just scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen. You can also find the donation link at denver7.com/gives. Just go to the drop-down menu and click Help Andrew Replace His Bike.
Some big news today for the Buffs. The University of Colorado has fired head football coach Darrell. He made it 5 games into his 3rd season with the Buffaloes, who have not won a single game out of those games. Offensive coordinator Mike Sanford will now serve as interim head coach for the rest of the season. As for our Broncos, everyone is screaming in the background. They're just barely trailing the Raiders in Las Vegas, 22-25 right now. Really exciting
Yeah,
game.
we still got some time to score a touchdown or field goal and take this one. Our sports team will bring you live coverage right after the game, including the post-game press conference.
And I'm hearing that they made the extra point, 23-25 now. We are going to have all the highlights and the breakdowns coming up once the game ends. All right, still ahead on Denver 7 News at 5. Dozens of Coloradans had dreams of building up, only to feel like their bank accounts were emptied out.
Contact Denver 7 has their warning about a local steel company. Plus, demand is through the roof right now to see the championship-winning Avs this upcoming season.
Another 48 hours of showers. I'll let you know when warmer, drier days return.